Hi everybody, it's the end of August. Welcome to Back to School. The next time you see me will be at the end of September and it will be a different season. So we have a lot to get to tonight and I hope everybody had a wonderful August. We'll talk about the POCO and how wonderful that was. So I'm going to introduce my guest.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. My name is Peter Fosek. I am the founding secretary-treasurer of the Connecticut Tenants Union, the first statewide tenant union in the country. I live in New Haven, but we have chapters all over the state, including down in Branford, the Parkside Village 2 Tenants Union, making history as one of the most successful tenant unions in a housing authority-owned complex anywhere in the state or country. So really excited to be here with you this evening.
Thank you for coming.
And I'm Lori Vincent. I'm from the North Branford Congregational Church. I am representing a small committee for the beautification project of the church, which will be celebrating their 300th anniversary in 2027.
That's incredible. Mm-hmm. So if you tuned in last month, you saw that we had Representative Candelora on and we had Gila Wellness on. And we had a great discussion about Gila Wellness's program, and it was on August 16th, and they were fully booked, and they had a wonderful time. So if you get a chance, check out their website again, gilawellness.com, because they're going to host another session in October that you can check out. With the panel, we discussed housing. So I brought the Connecticut Tenants Union here because I think it's important for you to know that they exist. I happened to meet them. I was at a democracy school, and it's something that I didn't know about. So I wanted to bring it to your attention, and you'll learn some good stuff from them. A couple of other things I want to remind everybody. I did put out a video the other day, but we're going back to school, and the Food Pantry of North Branford has been asking for donations, and I did challenge everybody at the beginning of the summer to collect their bottles. And when you get your returns back, instead of putting them in your penny jar, think about maybe getting some gift certificates to the grocery store and bringing them to the food pantry or a food pantry near you. Because if you drive by on Wednesdays and Fridays, you see the need is very high, and it's a hidden need. It's not something that you're going to see in the way somebody dresses. You're not going to see it in what people drive. You may not even see it where they're living. They could be your neighbor. So I just want to implore you to keep that in mind, especially when we're headed back to school and children are the most impacted by food insecurity. Also, mental health awareness. If you're not feeling good, if you're feeling different and you need help, reach out. There are many services out there to help, and we have one in town now called BH Care. And BH Care, in conjunction with the Common Ground Committee, is hosting a Community Connections Day on September 13th, and they will have booths there. They do have a pharmacy on site, and they do have lots of mental health groups and other services going on. So come out to BH Care's Connection Day. The Tenants Union will also be there, and you can meet them in person. And remember, it's election season going on. So anybody who's running for any town office, if you would like to come on the show at the end of September or the end of October, I would be happy to have you on to talk to your constituents. And just a personal thought. Yesterday I was doom scrolling, as they call it. I was thinking to myself, I saw this clickbait headline and I'm like, you can't trust anything that's on social media anymore. So just a shout out to make sure that when you read something, don't react to it. Practice the pause. Take a moment, think about it, maybe ask some questions and get curious, because sometimes it's just there to make you angry, and it's really not there to bring connection and bring us together. So I just wanted to highlight that. And don't forget to stop and see the sunflowers either, because they are gorgeous.
I saw them today.
Thank you again, Mr. Auger. So I'm going to pass this over to the Connecticut Tenants Union. Tell us all about how you got started. Tell us about people who are involved and how people in town can start a union if they wanted to.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So we got started as an ad hoc volunteer organization in 2020, 2021, in the real intense early days of the pandemic, when the housing crisis was really starting to accelerate and starting to impact folks in a way that simply could not be ignored. Rents across the state of Connecticut were going up double digits every year in some towns and cities, rents averaging as much as 30+% increases year over year in that time period. And a lot of folks, were already struggling to pay for the places that they were living, places that in different cases were often not up to par. People were paying more and more for less and less, and as more of the housing stock was bought up by speculators and slumlords looking to maximize their profit margin at the expense of their tenants. So a lot of folks around the state of Connecticut were feeling a lot of motivation around housing and the need to address this crisis, and there were questions about what that looks like in practice. We consolidated and started organizing around some legislative targets, including the successful right to counsel for eviction proceedings passed in the 2021 legislative session, guaranteeing tenants a right to legal representation in eviction cases, which folks previously did not have, which results in a lot of people being lacking the knowledge and understanding of the legal process that their landlord has, making an already unbalanced situation even more vulnerable. Coming out of that, and in the face of these massive rent increases, there was tremendous energy around the state for a rent cap, as a number of other states, including some very close to us, have. That campaign that we ran mobilized thousands of people across the state. Hundreds of people testified in 2 public hearings, one of which went almost 24 hours and the other of which went almost 20, and yet it was not called for a vote. Because we did not at that time have the real political power and depth of organization to demand that our voices be heard as tenants, as the multiracial working class of Connecticut. So that was really the impetus for formalizing as a statewide organization with a real structure rooted in a set of bylaws and a constitution that we co-authored and that was ratified by our founding membership of tenants organizing with our neighbors around the state at that time. That was in the summer of 2023, spring and summer of 2023. That ratification happened. We elected our inaugural union officers and tenant council composed of the leaders of our local chapters all around the state, and have hit the ground running ever since as a formalized organization that exists to build supermajority tenant unions on the building, complex, neighborhood, or municipality level, and to then lead those chapters in collective bargaining campaigns to win collectively bargained multi-year leases that ensure that people are getting what they pay for as tenants, that we can all have dignified, affordable, stable places to live and to thrive, and can really invest in our communities and our local economies and in our political process more broadly from a place that we can really call home and feel secure in. In addition to organizing those local chapters, we also continue to advocate for statewide legislation and municipal legislation that will further these ends, that will further empower tenants across the state to organize alongside our neighbors to win the conditions that we deserve. And we also, towards that same end, are working to create a mixed income neighborhood trust that will actually provide the economic and legal vehicle to facilitate the transfer of housing from the hands of slumlords and speculators into the hands of the people of Connecticut to ensure its long-term stewardship, not for the sake of maximizing somebody else's profit, but for the sake of elevating the conditions of our communities, our state, and everybody who lives here. For folks who are interested in getting involved, I would definitely recommend checking out our website, cttenantsunion.org. There you will find, among other things, RSVP form link where you can sign up for our monthly organizing trainings. Those are really the best way to get plugged into our statewide organizing. And are really, we run them on Saturdays from 10 to 5, and they're really the 101 crash course about what it means to organize, and whether you end up going from that to organizing a successful tenant union that wins the collectively bargained lease, as many folks have, or whether you go and apply that to any other aspect of your life. It's proven to be a very effective model of organizing for transformative positive change wherever you find yourself and wherever you need that change to be. So we definitely encourage folks to check that out. Like Kara mentioned, we will be tabling at the event here in North Branford on the 13th. So that'll be a great chance for folks to meet our chapter vice president from Branford, who is truly making history. And otherwise, please feel free to contact us via the website. We host monthly orientations based geographically where there is a density of interest. So if folks from the Branford, North Branford area would be interested, we would love to have one of those orientations over here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was a lot. Lori. Thank you. So I'm here to tell you today about the North Branford Congregational Church, which we are kicking off a beautification project, which we have a few people, 4 of us, that are putting it together and committing to probably at least a 3-year commitment to getting involved and raising money for the church right here in North Branford on Route 80 across the street. It's in dire need of painting. The steeple needs to be fixed. Right to doing stuff in the basement of the church. It's I was personally baptized there as a child and lived in this town, and I've lived in the area. It's definitely a home for me. I'm just going to read. We have a. Can I show this? Mm-hmm. So we have this beautification announcement that's going to be put in the church and on our website. The North Branford Congregational Church has a Facebook page. Shannon Miso is handling most of it, and I'm stepping in today. So I'm going to read just a little bit of this that she put together for our church members. It's a small church that we're hoping is going to, continue to grow. The main purpose of this beautification project is to enhance our church on both the inside and out. This includes raising monies to update Fellowship Hall, the undercroft, and kitchen areas, along with the outside of the church, including siding, roof, and landscaping. It's a lot of money. There's also other much-needed updates in and around the church that need to be done, from carpet to bathrooms. The church is still waiting for estimates to come in, but our tentative goal to raise funds in the next 3 years is $2,000. That is definitely a hefty goal, but we have prayed on it and know God is with us on this fundraising journey. We are a self-funding fundraising committee, and what that means is everything we raise will be used for the purpose to update or to reinvest into the other fundraisers, which in turn will raise more money. This newsletter will be updated monthly to the congregation and will always know where we are at with our fundraising efforts. We thank everyone. It's kind of gotten going already. We are amazed at the people that have stepped up to, one person knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, and this is kind of what this show is like, I think. So we thank you in advance for your support as we begin this journey. We have some upcoming events right now. We have a mum sale that's going on at the church, which will be also on our two sites, the website and the Facebook page. I don't know if anybody's ever played military whist cards, but it's a lot of fun. It's been around for years. That's on September 19th. And we have a fall craft fair that's going to be right here on the green on September 6th. It's definitely a work in progress, and it's been a lot of fun getting this going, and it's showing so much excitement, which is great. Yesterday during the church service, we had what we call the blessing of the backpacks for the kids that are going to school. So the kids, we don't have a lot of kids in the church, but they come in with their backpacks and people make things for them. We put them, people pray. We have a teacher in the congregation, and then I was blessed to be asked to take it to one of the churches in Northford, and that in itself was such an experience, and they were so grateful. Two things for the teachers, not the kids, the teachers, and somebody there had said, "Are you the church that's doing the beautification project?" I said, "We are," and I was surprised they knew about it already. So I hope that you look for some events and you come and help us. And we are going to be, probably by October 1st, you'll see on the green of the church a 3-sided sign that is going to say Beautification Project. We will keep it updated. We'll show a goal. We don't have the exact goal yet. We're still waiting for estimates, but there'll be a QR code on there that people driving by can just, take pictures of it. We are coming into 2025 slowly but surely. And the other part of this what really kind of got us going with this is in 2027, our church is going to be celebrating its 300th year anniversary. We have some history that is going to come out in some articles in the papers, and it's amazing. One of our ministers back when George Washington was president received a letter to say, "Can you get some men together?" And they gave him some things that they wanted him to do, and this minister, and in my church here, did that, and they went off to help with the war, and so it's amazing. So this project will be for us that are worshiping at the church still, for the community and beyond, and it is, what the big thing is we want the church to look like it deserves to be celebrated. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So now we take some time to ask some questions, because I try to think about being you at home. What would you want to ask now that you've heard? So one of my questions is about, you mentioned the Mint. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and how that works?
Absolutely. So the Mint, or Mixed Income Neighborhood Trust, is an innovative and somewhat recently developed model for facilitating the long-term stewardship of housing that is both permanently affordable and resident-controlled in a meaningful way. Housing that is, in other words, democratic. So the Mint model itself, which has been developed by a group called Trust Neighborhoods out of Boston, really draws on a lot of the strengths of existing models, from limited equity cooperatives to community land trusts, models that folks might be more familiar with if they're in touch with the world of affordable housing preservation. But the Mint actually allows for a greater degree of flexibility in both the funding of those projects and the long-term oversight and management, because the operating entity of the Mint is an LLC governed by a board of directors who are appointed by the community members and coalition that comes together to put the Mint together. That operating board and operating manager are then directly overseen by the trust itself, which has 100% voting control over the LLC, And that governance and oversight process is undertaken by a group of predominantly or exclusively residents of the buildings owned by the Mixed Income Neighborhood Trust. So there you see a lot of the benefits and strengths of the limited equity cooperative movement, where you have direct democratic oversight of the operations of this property in the long term. So residents weighing in on questions of what affordability really means and how to strike that very fundamental and necessary balance between affordability and maintaining the property's maintenance and upkeep, so that folks can continue to live there and can continue to thrive there and live well in safe and healthy and sustainable conditions. So it's an incredibly collaborative model and a dynamic model, which is first and foremost what we really need to be working with in a context where we're looking at organizing-driven acquisitions, a context in which we're talking about chapters who are facing decades of deferred maintenance and are running a collective bargaining campaign to bring their landlord to the table as a seller, who can't necessarily wait to fall in line with annual application deadlines and timelines, nor with the parameters of less fluid, less dynamic models. The Mint really seems to meld well with an organizing-driven approach to securing, stewarding, and preserving permanently affordable and resident-controlled housing. It's a model that's being implemented across the country, and we in Connecticut, a state that has certainly been at the forefront of the tenant movement, the movement for housing justice, want to continue to hold that place by implementing this very, very promising model here in Connecticut. As we see so much of the housing stock facing that kind of deferred maintenance, and so much of the housing stock being gobbled up by speculators and slumlords, oftentimes folks who don't even live in Connecticut, but who want to extract as much profit from our communities as possible at the expense of our communities and our residents.
So this is a way to get funding to purchase a property, and then from that purchase of the property and funding, then you can basically make the board out of the residents that are going to live there. And it's some way there's a way to either pay that money back, or if you were to be given a grant. Is that true?
Yeah, so I would say it's a vehicle that exists both to facilitate the fundraising of the acquisitions and to facilitate that long-term operation and governance. So the Mint remains in practice and in place through the operation of the property. And an important point to clarify that I'm working on figuring out how to best make clear as we continue to develop this model in Connecticut is there are effectively two boards involved in the ongoing operation and governance. One is the operating board, which has all the technical expertise that you need to ensure that the cash flows of the property are remaining positive, that you're effectively engaging in your debt service obligations, and that you're also reinvesting equity returns back into the expansion of the Mint portfolio, the maintenance and rehabilitation of the existing properties in the portfolio. So that's what that operating board is really tasked with. Then the Trust Stewardship Committee, or Oversight Board, to use a different term, that is the group of residents who are setting the terms according to which that operating board and the operating manager are running things day to day. And who, whenever there are major decisions to be made about how the property is going to be operated, what rents are going to be, who's going to be eligible, who can buy equity in the property and what that looks like, those decisions are decisions that are made by the residents and the democratic body of elected residents representing their neighbors is that Trust Stewardship Committee. So kind of two boards, one running the operations on the day-to-day, the other ensuring that this remains in line with a mission of permanent affordability and direct democratic control of our housing for the people of the state.
So it's like a property management company,
That's
but
what I was
they're
thinking.
run by the tenants. So the tenants have like a condo board that tell the property manager what to do.
That's a good analogy.
Okay.
I might have to
Yeah.
borrow that from you.
Okay.
That was good.
So if I was somebody struggling with my rent and I wanted to live somewhere like North Branford, but would really love to have more control over, how would I find out if there was something like that being created or talked about or get something started?
Well, I would say in terms of getting something started, that's probably what I can give the best advice on. And I would say with that in mind, if you are interested in creating a mixed income neighborhood trust or something related to this, wherever you are in the state, but particularly for our folks in Branford and North Branford, please reach out to me by email. My email is peter@cttenantsunion.org. And I will let you figure out the spelling of that. But we will be implementing this mint over the course of the next year plus. And that is, as I've mentioned, a really collaborative and coalitional process. So even if you're not in the New Haven area where this initial mint will be implemented, come take part in the creation of this and be the expert on how to create it anywhere else. The more mints that are successfully created and that become operational anywhere in the state or country, the more proof of concept that we have, the more expeditiously we can replicate those efforts in other places, and the more that we impact the market positively and transformatively by directly intervening in that process of profit extraction and offering an alternative model of what it means to provide for our needs for housing, for shelter, for space for our communities to live and ultimately to live well. But I would also say that there is a community land trust in North Branford, and I know that they've been most interested and engaged to date in land stewardship, which is urgently important as well. But I know that there are other land trusts around the country and around the state, I believe, who have predominantly been focused on that kind of land preservation, but who have, given the urgent need, done some work to be, at least temporarily, a stewardship vehicle for ensuring that naturally occurring affordable housing doesn't get sold off to some private equity developer who wants to turn it into a parking lot when the existing owner decides that they can't keep up with that massive corporate competition and have to sell.
That's awesome.
Big.
Can you just, I also had a question about, I went to, there was a recent rally for the Parkside in New Haven. And can you give us an update on what happened there? Or tell the audience a little bit about it if they may not know about that.
Absolutely. So the Parkside Village Tenants Union is one of the newest tenant unions in Connecticut, and it is a phenomenal chapter. It exists at the Park Ridge Apartments in New Haven in the Westville Beaver Hills neighborhood, and it's exclusively elderly and or disabled folks in this building, owned by Capital Realty, a national slumlord, for lack of a better term, although slumlord is probably taking it easy on them, who have a practice of preying particularly on the most vulnerable members of our communities, as is the case at Park Ridge, where you have folks who are retired, on fixed income, dealing with chronic medical issues, and nonetheless dealing with a lack of maintenance that's resulting in more and more of those health issues, and people whose health is already vulnerable being particularly at risk in a context that is willing to put them at risk because it's more profitable for the ownership. We are part of National Tenant Union Federation. We're one of the founding members of that federation. And across the country, in the Tenant Union Federation, we're mounting a campaign to confront Capital Realty and intervene in that process of exploitation and taking advantage of elderly and disabled folks, as well as working class folks, middle class folks who need a place to live and who end up in a place that becomes more and more expensive despite being in worse and worse states of disrepair. So the Parkside Village Tenants Union, or excuse me, Park Ridge Parkside Village Tenants Union is our Brantford chapter. And because I'm so excited about them and I'm here in Brantford, I'm getting mixed up. But our Park Ridge Tenant Union went public a couple weeks ago, inviting their landlord, Capital Realty, to come to the bargaining table to commence collective negotiations with the residents there to ensure that they are getting what they deserve. As folks who have paid their taxes for decades and decades, who have contributed to making our state and our country what it is, and who now deserve a peaceful and quiet retirement in which they don't have to worry about mold giving them pneumonia or bed bugs popping up and exterminators being unable to contact management to even get in the building. I mean, that's something that I ran into just when walking out of a union meeting there one day. The landlord refused to respond and similarly hid behind curtains when our members went all the way down to their offices in New York and New Jersey to petition them directly. So now we're getting ready to escalate because we don't back down until our members get what they deserve and what they demand. So stay tuned for further escalatory action there, both with our chapter there in Park Ridge in New Haven, but also as we put the pressure on nationwide and make sure the Capital Realty knows that we're not going away and that their tenants are going to get what they deserve one way or another.
That's awesome. It was great to be there and great to see everybody. And I also met somebody who said she was displaced for a year from her home because she had a sewage backup problem and they weren't fixing it. That's unfair to the tenants.
Truly.
So I'm excited and I want to know more about this 300-year celebration.
I know, it is exciting. And I wish I knew more about the history of our church is amazing.
Yeah,
it really
was
is
it the
amazing.
founding church in North Brantford?
I believe it was, originally it was called the Ecclesiastical Society of North Brantford.
Okay.
And as you probably know, North Brantford and Northford were just villages. I mean, I don't know when, but they were villages not too long ago.
Right,
also,
right.
They were still as, known as villages. So the name hasn't really even changed, even though we call ourselves the North Brantford Congregational Church. We are finding that now that we're doing this, that a lot of stuff has to get changed. That hasn't, but yet it's been okay because it's a church,
Right.
But it is quite amazing, and we have someone that's a great writer in the church that's going to be doing, I believe, don't quote me, a press release to get things going, and, getting people just so involved, and we really want it to be a community. I mean, this green is the only green in the town, and yet we really hardly do anything. When I was a kid here, everything was there.
Right.
You had everything there. There was the Memorial Day thing, everything was there. So it's been a lot of fun. We have, the church has been redone where there was a fire in, I can't remember when, but many, many years ago. So some of it's been rebuilt, but some of it's original. As a matter of fact, some of the undercroft that she refers to in this article, people that are buried in the little old cemetery right next to this building used to be in the undercroft of that church, I believe. I'm not sure who or how many, but they moved them. And so it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
That is amazing. You're right. I always forget that that's known as the green.
I know, me too.
But I always think of it as a piece of the church. So, and I know from sitting on the Common Ground Committee and listening to all this about housing is that a lot of people complain that North Branford and Northford, because they were villages, they never got the town green like Branford and Guilford and Madison. So
This is the biggest
right,
there is.
so we were kind of gypped as New England-y type towns.
I mean,
Yeah.
I remember as a kid. I mean, even now, of course, when I was a kid, it seemed so big. But the field next door to Duties, that's where the carnival was. That was now they're doing movie night, but other than that, and the green, that was it.
Yeah.
And everything else was farm, and it's amazing. But the church itself has a lot. I mean, we want to do a lot. So I believe this 200K is going to be higher once we get a few more estimates in. But we really want the community to be able to use our church. We have people to ask, but we need to upgrade things. We need a handicap bathroom. We need, we'd love to get air conditioning. And we have a fantastic kitchen. We used to be well known for the dinners at the church.
Yeah.
I mean, we had like ham and strawberry suppers. We'd have 2 seatings, like 200 people, 300 people. And the Lady Sewing Society, which was the big, it was big in the churches for, I think, a lot of the congregational churches. It was those women, most of the women then were home. They pretty much ran the church.
Oh,
Nothing got done in that church unless the Lady Sewing Society said, okay, you got our approval, So, and we have a few people that are still well into their 90s that are in the church, that have been there forever.
That's amazing.
And it is.
Yeah.
So when we've been going around the church right now trying to say, okay, we have to do this and that. But I think it's going to be amazing. I think it will be used for so many things. People will get married there again and have we have a great kitchen. It's like a commercial kitchen.
Oh wow!
And
so
we're
you could
hardly
actually
using
host
it.
an entire wedding. And
We could do it all. We do have an elevator that we had a big fundraiser many years ago. And I don't know if anybody if you drive by, slow down, just look at that stained glass window that's in the old part. That was a chapel, and we've used it for a lot. But right now, our minister Wendy Terry, who is a phenomenal minister. She has taken it upon herself with our secretary to turn that back into a real chapel. And it's looking so nice.
very nice.
Very nice.
That's
So,
wonderful.
yeah. It's going to be a lot more coming up. There's going to be poinsettia sale at Christmas. We're going to do an illuminary night, probably small scale this year, where everything is a first time for us doing things kind of big right now. We're going to get into doing some country line dancing nights
very nice.
and so much more. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
So if you are new in town and you're picking us up on YouTube, please, if you're watching us on YouTube, give us a subscribe on Totucket TV, because that is the place for all of your town meetings. Town meetings will talk about housing. They will talk about the budget, which everybody loves and needs to know about. We'll talk about some other smaller meetings. And if you come out to the BH Care combined with Common Ground Community Connections Day, you can see lots of these organizations. Will have the Agricultural Commission there. I hope the
We are gonna be
Congregational
there.
Church will come out. And if you're new in town, it's a great opportunity to see all of these organizations and maybe join the Congregational Church.
Yes.
Because they've been here for 300 years and the town will celebrate the 275th.
I was just going to say, yes, so, or 250th, I think. Or was it too soon? I think it might be only 250. I mean, but we're
250,
even,
yes.
so
I'm
that means we're
aging us.
We were there 50 years before.
50 years before the country was here. So,
Stability.
yes. The rock and the foundation
Very
that we've all
good,
grown
yes.
up from. Yes.
And it's serendipitous because CTT, we're 3 years into our 300-year run. So
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
That's great.
That's awesome. So I just wanted to leave you with what I started with, which is be aware that food insecurity is blind. Just when you are working with people, just keep in mind you don't know what's going on, and be kind. Practice the pause, get curious, reach out. And again, if you have any questions for the Community Lens, if you would like to come on the Community Lens, you can reach us at communitylensinfo@gmail.com. I love any of those. And if you are running for election in town, you can reach out and come on. I will say, and this is the only time I'm going to say it, is I am running as an independent for the Board of Education. So I'm here, I'm on the Community Lens, reach out to me, and I will be coming around with a group of people and doing some door knocks. Please don't put me on the community page. We're just coming around to say hi. And have a great September, everybody.
Hi, my name is Megan, and I'm the owner of Get Organized with Megan Rose. I specialize in helping people create organized, stress-free homes through my services, which include decluttering and organizing, donation pickups, and daily chores such as laundry, dishes, and tidying up. I understand inviting someone into your home can feel overwhelming, and many people feel hesitant or embarrassed. But I want you to know my services are 100% judgment-free. I'm here to help, not judge. In addition to my organizing work, I'm also the administrator for our town's free page, where I donate many of my clients' unwanted items to help others in the community. Giving back has been an important part of my business since the very beginning. I've lived in North Branford for 11 years with my boys, and I truly love being part of this community. Right now, I'm running a giveaway for 1 free hour of my decluttering service. Everyone who enters from town will receive $15 off their next session. Be sure to check out my Facebook page, Get Organized with Megan Rose, to learn more about my services. I hope to hear from you soon.